File codename, The Candy Alchemist. Category, psychological manipulator. Industrial tyrant. Gotham has seen its share of monsters. Some hide in shadows, some wear masks. Some wield chaos like a weapon, twisting reality to their whims. But there's one kind of threat that's different. One that doesn't need brute force, terror, or fear to control people. Willy Wonka. At first glance, he seems harmless, an eccentric chocolatier, an artist of sugar and spectacle. But beneath the whimsy, the spectacle, the songs, something doesn't add up. He operates with absolute control over his factory, his employees, and the children who enter his world. Every action, every moment is orchestrated. And those who cross him, they vanish. The more I studied him, the more the pattern emerged. Wonka isn't just a businessman. He's something else, something dangerous. Wonka's factory isn't just a workplace. It's a fortress, a labyrinth of impossible architecture, filled with hidden dangers disguised as wonder. His workforce, the Oompa Loompas, operate with a hive mind efficiency, moving in perfect synchronization, eliminating obstacles without hesitation. They're more than workers. They're enforcers. Then there's Wonka himself, unpredictable, evasive. He oscillates between warmth and menace in a way that suggests a deeper strategy at play. He rarely answers questions directly, and when he does, his responses raise more questions than they answer. His knowledge extends beyond confectionary. He understands people, their desires, their weaknesses. He doesn't just create candy. He creates narratives, weaving people into them whether they realize it or not. His most unsettling trait, the way he disposes of those who fail his tests. Augustus Gloop, Violet Beauregard, Veruca Salt, Mike Teavee. One by one they were removed, eliminated under the guise of lessons. No investigations, no consequences. Parents stood by, helpless. He engineered their downfall, led them into his traps, and no one questioned it. If this were Gotham, I'd be preparing Arkham cells. But the question remains, what is Wonka truly capable of? Wonka's influence is self-contained, for now. But the way he operates suggests expansion is inevitable. A man like him doesn't stay in one place forever. If his operations extend beyond his factory, if his methodology is applied on a wider scale, his brand of control could become something far more sinister. He doesn't just run a business, he shapes reality within his domain. The moment his reach grows, the world might wake up to find itself inside his chocolate-coated illusion, with no way out. If that happens, I have to be ready. Wonka only allows entry on his terms, and that means I need to secure a golden ticket. Not a forgery, a real one. His paranoia, his absolute control over his operation, means counterfeit attempts would be detected immediately. That leaves only one option: acquisition. Wayne Tech's quantum decryption software, designed for high-level data retrieval, can be used to track ongoing golden ticket locations. Find one before it reaches its recipient. Extract it. Leave behind a perfect replica to avoid suspicion. One family's disappointment, but a necessary loss for the greater mission. The cover story is simple. Damian Wayne, posing as a spoiled, entitled heir with zero patience for rules, would assume the identity of the ticket's original owner. He plays the role to perfection because, frankly, he wouldn't even need to act. I accompany him as his disinterested, detached guardian, an overworked billionaire father too busy to care. Wonka wouldn't question it. He'd welcome the dynamic. Another test subject, another piece in his game. Once inside, observation begins immediately. Wayne Tech's concealed retinal recorders, embedded in contact lenses, will document every corridor, every hidden mechanism, every unseen layer of his operation. Wonka's factory is a controlled space where he holds every advantage. I need to break that control before he realizes we're playing a different game. Direct attacks won't work. Wonka anticipates challenges and thrives on them. Instead, small, unnoticed disruptions will break his control gradually. His security system, whatever it is, gets rerouted. A modified disruptor chip, concealed inside Damien's shoe, interfaces with hidden control panels, forcing minor malfunctions that accumulate over time. Wonka might not notice immediately, but by the time he does, it'll be too late. The factory's automation begins to fail. A minor chemical alteration to the chocolate river, released unnoticed into the mix, causes unexpected inconsistencies in production. His entire operation runs on perfection. A small flaw in the system forces a reaction, an improvisation Wonka may not be prepared for. The Oompa Loompas receive conflicting orders. WayneTech's low-frequency audio disruption device, disguised as a button on my coat, emits signals that interfere with synchronized command transmissions. The factory runs like an organism, but an organism with severed nerves can't function properly. Wonka's world runs on absolute order disguised as chaos. I introduce real chaos into his order. The difference is subtle, but catastrophic. Once the factory's systems start to deteriorate, Wonka will attempt to reassert control. That's when he becomes vulnerable. Damien, who Wonka will inevitably single out as a test subject, will serve as the perfect distraction. He will push boundaries, escalate tension, force Wonka's attention entirely onto him. While he does, I move unseen, reaching the central control mechanisms of the factory. Once the factory is thrown into disarray, once the machines malfunction, the Oompa Loompas hesitate, the illusion starts to break. That's when I move on Wonka directly. Wonka's factory is filled with hidden dangers, but I've mapped them, I've studied them, and I've made them unreliable to him. Every trap is compromised, every failsafe has been sabotaged. Wonka has nowhere to go that I haven't already accounted for. Then, I corner him. A high-frequency sonic emitter, tuned to disrupt motor function, forces momentary paralysis. Wonka's genius, his unpredictability, it doesn't help him if he can't move. Then I speak. I let him know that his game is over, that the world outside isn't his playground, that I understand him now. After that, the priority is getting everyone out before the factory responds. Robin leads the civilians toward a mapped-out exit, either a maintenance tunnel or a service lift, depending on which remains operational. A pre-planted disruptor chip should have weakened the factory's automated systems, but if pathways shift or seal, an EMP charge will disable remaining defenses. If Wonka installed a fail-safe, gas, collapsing tunnels, or worse, I'll counter it with manual overrides on his control panels. Once outside, the civilians are secured, ensuring none are under lingering influence. Wonka's control ends here. When it comes to containing Wonka, conventional containment won't work. Arkham isn't an option. His mind is too slippery. Blackgate wouldn't hold him. He'd talk his way out in days. The best method of containment is sensory deprivation. A zero-stimulation containment unit. No colors, no sound, no interaction. Just absence. For a man who thrives on spectacle and manipulation, isolation strips him of his weapons. The more time he spends disconnected from external stimuli, the weaker his hold on reality becomes. In a world with no imagination, Wonka is powerless. Wonka isn't the Joker. He isn't Ra's al Ghul or Lex Luthor. But that doesn't make him any less dangerous. Where others use violence, he uses perception. Where others break bodies, he breaks minds. And the worst part? He does it with a smile. I don't take threats lightly. I don't let my guard down. And I don't underestimate the power of a man who understands human nature better than anyone. If Wonka ever steps beyond his factory, if his games ever escalate, I'll be ready. Because I don't play by his rules. Stay sharp, stay prepared, stay vigilant.